Alright, well, welcome to the first tutorial that I get to make for this class. This is Survey for Mineral Engineers, and this is showing you guys how to kind of handle and set up the total stations onto their tripods. First thing first to cover is that it's kind of important how you open these boxes. They have these little indentations on the bottom. Make sure those are down. That way you open the box the right side up. As far as it goes, there's two latches on them. On the front, they'll twist them, they'll come off, and you open it up. In every single box, there should be a couple of things. Your total station battery, charger, which is usually in two pieces. You have a little screen wipe that's in a plastic wrapper. You have a cover, it's this big plastic thing, and you have a ruler. The only thing that you'll need for this first lab will be the total station itself and the battery. Anytime that you take the total station out of the box, keep a hold on the top of it. You want to hold it by this handle. You don't want to hold it by the bottom, you don't want to hold it by the sides, you want to hold it by this handle and make sure you have a firm grip. The last thing you want to do is drop one of these things. Very expensive piece of equipment. I'll set her back down in there. Not the right way. So, what you guys will have to do for this lab is pretty simple. You'll have to take the total station out of the box and put it on a tripod. This tripod still has a little cover on it. Set it off. And whenever you set up the tripod, you have to make sure to position it over a point. Kind of. A little button hold. Show them. There's a couple of points like this all around the mine site. I'm gonna probably go through and try and spray paint as many of them as possible, so you'll have them for your final projects. They all have little rings around them, but mostly faint. They have little points. That's what you have to position the entirety of the total station over. So, as I said, always carry it by the top. You'll carry it pretty much directly over to where your tripod is. And it has a little screw in the bottom, and the tripod has a little screw thing in it as well. Kind of line them up, and it'll attach it. Just make sure to hold it until you know you have it attached. Once it's kind of screwed down tight, you'll be able to let go of the top, and the total station will stay where it is. And then you can take the little rubber cover off the lens and make sure do not touch the lens. It'll make it where you can't see through. Can't see through the thing. So once you have it on there and you kind of have it set up generally over where the point is, you will kind of roughly position it over the point. What I always do is I stand to one side and I center it to one side, stand on the other side, kind of get it in position. This is a very rough positioning. This is nowhere close. Once I have it somewhat positioned, I try and get it somewhat level. Right here on every single one of these total stations is with a little tiny dot level. What I always do is I try and use the stand itself, adjusting one leg at a time. They have these little hinges on them, and very carefully adjusting it to where it's a little bit more level. It makes it a little bit easier to fight with. Once I have it mostly level, I then go to getting it to where it needs to be. This little glass eyepiece here is what you'll look into. I don't know how well the camera's gonna look into it. I'll try and get a shot of it. But if you look down in it, it's got a little crosshair thing. It's got a focus. And basically you have to kind of try and figure out where on earth you are. Whenever you have it kind of mostly positioned, you can loosen the screw on the bottom and you can use it to move the total station around on it while it's still screwed down. You probably should still have a hand on the top. But you'll kind of move it over and get it positioned over the point. And then once you have it positioned like that, you can tighten it back down. And now it's somewhat level and over the point, but we got to get it perfectly level. As far as getting them perfectly level, it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of finagling. On each of these machines, there's a little bar level. Right here, it tells you this is what you'll use to fine tune your leveling. On the three corners of the total station as well, there's three little things that you use to raise and lower each corner. What I always do is I just choose one. You go this time. You put it over the top to where it's kind of in line with two of them, and you adjust them until that little bubble is centered. So now, facing this direction, the total station is level, side to side, but it's not level front to back. Once you get one side leveled, you turn it to the next three. And then what I always do is I only adjust one, and it's pretty much perfectly level. But whichever of the two you didn't touch, I always adjust that one, because if you start touching the one that you touched, which I just rotated this one to get this side level, if you start messing with that, well, now this side's messed with. It's a lot of fine tuning, and it's a lot easier if you just adjust the one that you didn't mess with already. Turn her to the last side, and if you're lucky and you've done everything right, it'll be pretty much level, which is not quite level, which I will work on. But you'll go through and you'll check this and double check this and just make sure that everything is kosher. All right. And then the quickest way to tell if it is in fact level, you have this green power button here. If you turn it on, I don't have the battery in it. Battery. Once you kind of have her set up, I should have done this way before this, but once you kind of have it set up, the battery goes in, kind of like this, and it'll just clip right in. It's not going anywhere. So once you have it mostly leveled, click the power button. It'll beep at you. And if you've done everything right, let me get it to this other screen. If you've done everything right and you click, if it turns on, it gives you a weird screen. Click on this third top button. This gives you this screen. If you're getting vertical angle and horizontal angle measurements, that means it's level. Because if I go here and I unlevel it, it'll do that, and you know it's not level. That's the basics of leveling. It'll take you a long time, lots of hands-on to actually learn how to do it, but this is a basic showing of how to do it, so you guys have seen it before. Once you have it all done and you've gone through and you've taken all your measurements, which might take a while, you might have to pick this up, move it, re-center it, re-level it, take measurements, and keep doing it. Once you've finished all your measurements, make sure you turn it off. Just hold the power, press the power button. It'll pop up a screen. Just click yes, and you're good to go. One hand on the handle. Take her off. Well, actually, no. Well, this is where I'll mention this stuff. Before you take her off, since all this COVID stuff's going on, we're gonna have some wipies and stuff, disinfectant wipes for you guys to use, or disinfectant spray with rags or something. We'll get it all, but you'll take a disinfectant wipe, and basically anything that you touched other than the lenses, because if you wipe the lenses, it'll mess them up. We'll have to go in, we'll have to clean them, and it'll be a big pain in the butt. But just make sure to go through, take the battery off, and wipe anything that you touched. Try to be clean. Once you have it all wiped down, grab your handle, loosen her up, and lift her away. Now these have to go back in the box a certain way. Make sure to put your lens cover back on. A couple of them don't have lens covers. I'm going to try and find them all. These have to go back in a specific way. Now if you put your box back, if you open your box right, the easiest way to know which way it goes in is that where the battery goes, that goes up. You just kind of gently put her down in there, and then you have to mess with the bottom of it a little bit so it actually sits in there. It should sit in pretty snug. And then make sure that they're in there right, you just close it. Do not force this box closed. If you've done everything right, it should close just fine. Make sure that you put your latches back on, and good to go. Other than those things that you'll need for this lab, don't forget to get your little hard hat face shields that the campus is requiring. Don't forget your masks, and do not forget steel toes. The last thing you want to do is have one of those tripods fall over on your foot. They're quite heavy. Other than that, that's all.